Got a koto, everyone. 10 o'clock, just gone 10 o'clock, so we'll kick off today. I had the inspirational karakia, but I'm going to get my money's worth out of Councillor Kemera, as he hasn't put his name in for the next training. So I'm going to hand it over to Councillor Kemera to start with a karakia, if that's okay.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. He honore o gloria he maunga runga I te whenua e whakaro pai ki rā tangata katoa. Hanga e te atua he nā kau hau ki roto ki tēnā o mātou. Whakatongi e te ware wa tapu, he awhina, he tui a mātou e roto I tēnei ao gloria ki tuinga tapu. Āmeni.
Kia ora. Thank you for that. Today's meeting shouldn't be going past 12 o'clock, so no lunch today. Just before we carry on, I am going to take an opportunity. We had a bit of a weather event last week, and just want to say a big shout out to everyone that was involved in the council, did their part, especially in the community. We had road workers, thankfully, all over the place, and especially big thanks to our local hapu, opening up their marae as they do. 2 weeks earlier, I went to speak at a conference on a panel, and we brought up just this fact, how, in the times of need, our iwi and our hapus, they always stand up. It should never be taken for granted, and there's going to be lessons learnt from the event the other day. So just a huge thanks to them and everyone involved. And Maxi, if you're in the road crew world, just thank everyone, because without those people on that day, we would have been looking at a far worse circumstances. So, all right. Got an apology today from Councillor Nelson. I'll move there to a second. Councillor Kemera, all those in favour? Any declarations of interest in today's meeting? No. And no one in the public forum. Must be a sign that the bench warmers seat warmers are doing a pretty good job, eh? I'll move on to page 4. Confirmation of the ordinary council minutes. I'll move this. If I can have a seconder, please. Any matters of correctness in there? Right, all those in favour? Good, thank you. On page 11, confirmation of the minutes of the extra ordinary council meeting, 26th of June. I'll move this again. If I can have a seconder, please. That's true and correct. Everyone happy with that? What's that to vote? All those in favour? Against? Thank you. Hold on. Page 21. Oh, no. Sorry. I did have. Sorry. Yep. I did have one.
Are we there? Yeah, back on that one here. Page, what was it? So on page 13, it says if you're within 100 meters of any water infrastructure, you'll be rated half the rate, right? So how is that going to pertain to our Hukatai development? Does that policy come through for the Hukatai area when we start doing the infrastructure job up there?
Yeah, I can provide a response to that. So as we discussed previously through the process of Hukatai, council could have the opportunity to look at how that is applied to there, noting that a number of properties are on septic tanks that might have only recently been installed, and may consider that would be unfair for them to, or unnecessary for them to connect to a new wastewater pipe. So when we get to that point in time, we can go through that with council and look at what options there are and what determination is. Currently, this applies to the existing infrastructure.
Well, so because it was rated in two down, the public consultations that we had, there's no one thought that the fee should be charged for those septic. Also got a clarification here.
The clarification, we had a letter from the regional council, I understand, that said that you don't have to. So the council have now applied in this policy in there, and Councillor Howe's talking about, that should be actually determined now, I believe, and actually say, no, we're not going to put everyone on that and charge them a half rate, because I'm still a firm believer that the developer should be paying. But I don't see why people that are currently with septic tank systems up in Hokitāia have to then pay a half rate for something that they don't necessarily need, because that is one of the best drainage areas in the country. And having spoken to the previous council engineer himself living up that road, he says that that's actually one of the best drainage areas. Why do we need to actually put it on the sewage anyway? So I think that's something that should be determined probably at the next council meeting, because you should make a hard and fast rule. That's it.
Just comment on that again. Yeah, I believe that it needs to be fully discussed, reviewed and discussed when the Hokitāia infrastructure goes ahead. So it needs to be clarified with our existing ratepayers up there to make sure that, yeah, it's going to be status quo, hopefully. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Happy with it? Yeah, we know. That's okay. All right, we'll move on. Page 21. Draft minutes, Coast Community Board. I'll move this. Just a second. Just receiving the draft minutes. Happy with that one?
The only thing that was touched on was question 7, just mention about the Māori roadways.
Sorry.
Top of the 33 local roadways, oversee between the front of the road. So like the process discussed them this year, then started to try and work through to get an agreement. So yeah, and thank you to Stacey and the crew for getting that sorted.
It was page 24, by the way. I jumped the page. So thanks for that.
That's right.
It's just good to note too also, there's 33 roads from Tōrere to the Cape that we look after, 33 back roads, which is a fair amount of roads. So if you take those roads from Tōrere back to Puterere, you know, we look after a hell of a lot of roads that people don't know about. I mean, that storm that just went through recently, how many slips were on those roads? Would have been hundreds of slips on all those small roads that have to be cleaned up. The ratepayers don't see that part of our expense, you know, but it doesn't. We don't clean them up for nothing.
Thank you. Oh, put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against, here. Thank you. I'll come back to page 21, sorry. It's of the Performance and Delivery Committee. I'll move this. Do I have a second? Yep, the Brooks. Matters correctness there, Councillor Brooks. Sorry.
The speaker, I believe, can have a look at it.
All right. Thank you. I've already done it. And we did, yep, we did the Coast Community Board, didn't we? Must be hot in here. Right on to page 32. Minutes from the mayoral forum. It's a little while ago. I'll move this by the seconder, please. Any questions on there? Got a couple of things I'll highlight. Yeah, I have a question. It's where is
Bloody thing. The resource management reforms, we had a clear direction from the government basically to stop all planning. So is that going to occur here? Well, are we going to stop the planning? The government have indicated that the Resource Management Act in here, Resource Management Act is actually going to be changed. And so, I think it was Minister Bishop that said, effectively, stop all your planning in councils because you're going to waste money. And I don't like wasting money. And so, are we going to do that here, or are we going to say that we don't believe that our view is better, and we're going to go ahead? I mean, that's the concern.
just answer to their questions? We've got to carry on until they actually do it. Just like speed limits, like they can say they're going to change speed limits, but you actually don't change the speed limit. You still have to follow it until it's actually changed. So it's the same thing. So yep.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That we
I hear what you're saying, but this
and we got some stuff in the next item. So yep, it was just an update. But yeah, 100% agree with you. And you've got some stuff coming up on further in the meeting that you can probably bring it up there. Sorry, is that right?
Yeah, it's this bloody thing. I thought I turned it down.
This was a meeting that we had a verbal update from the newest, second newest mayor in the country, talking about amalgamation. He was talking about amalgamation. He wasn't prepared. It was a verbal update. So there's a bit of a pushback came back from those around the table. Was one day up on the nominations, which was probably wasn't the best day to be doing that in discussions about amalgamations, same sort of thing. So probably haven't got an appetite for it in the Eastern Bay because we're always on the receiving end of lack of police, lack of resources into the college, issues with roading. So that was an interesting meeting. In that same meeting, we had quite a scary update about the state of our health system and how many doctors we're short. So, lots of work for the government of the day to sort through before they're worried about amalgamating all these councils. Yeah. Any other questions for that?
So you look at more like shared services with other councils instead of amalgamation.
Yeah, we're doing that already. So, absolutely. That wasn't how he started his speech. He started, I think, third word in was amalgamations of the 7 councils. So that's why there was a pushback from the 3 Eastern Bay mayors.
Did you ask him if he's ever been to a purki?
No, I'm not sure. He probably went through backwards. So. That's okay, but it was just probably lack of being prepared on the day. Anyway, we moved on, but we certainly got a pushback for our communities. Any other thing in there? Well, I'll just going to move in a second row. I'll just put that to the vote. We're all finished there. All those in favour? Again, Harry, thank you. And page 38. Civil Defence Emergency Group Joint Committee. Just an update. I'll move this if I can have a seconder, please. Any questions in there? We'll take it as read. I'll just put that to the vote if there's no questions. All those in favour? Okay. Carry on. Carry. Right, jumped again, didn't I? Page 49? Oh, yeah. Move on to the mural report. Page 49. I'll move this slide in a second, please. Just one little correction. On 21st of July, I met with Joe Luxton and Honourable Jenny Anderson online, just to discuss our issue with lack of police resourcing in our district and a couple of other matters. Ongoing issue for us and quite a frustrating one. But just raising it with them and numerous other things. Okay, I'll just put that to vote. All those in, any other questions? Any questions? Yeah, just. Oh, that's in the next one. That'll be the next one. Oh. Yeah, do it now. Just.
So we had a road safety meeting last week and the Mayor and I was there and we were there at a previous one. And one of the issues raised, and this is very topical because of the current situation with the Matakarapu turnoff. The previous meeting, I queried why the bridge wasn't being replaced and with the same time as a roundabout, and was told there was no budget for that or whatever it was. That was never considered. And so the last Friday's meeting, I raised again the fact that the bridge was underwater. The nice new roundabout that's being built is superfluous if we can't get over the bridge. And I mentioned the fact that Gisborne have got a resilience project, I think, going on, that are looking at their supply, because that's one of the choke points for if we're cut off with these storm events, excuse me, that occur. And so, and I'd invite everyone here to they can send it to me straight away if you like, but I'm sending some thoughts to our Road Safety Committee secretary, who's going to put them all together and put something up through to the regional one and to the minister, because it's pointless having a nice new roundabout when we can't get over the bridge. The bridge was underwater. The whole thing was going back up, and basically we were effectively cut off. And I know because I was cut off. I had to spend the night in Whakatane. But like that's one of the things that we need to look at, and it's not just our. And I know the roads are not; those are transit roads, so LTSA roads. But still, it affects our actual resilience in this town, in our community, and up the coast. So what we should look at, I think, is put some serious effort into getting hold of Gisborne and actually coming up with a plan, and actually putting pressure on government to say, hey, if you're going to do something, let's do it once, do it right. If that bridge was raised and had a bigger span, the water could flow straight under there. It's a real choke point, absolute choke point. And we saw what happened. Some of us were there. I know Maxie was there. And so that's something that I think that we should really be concentrating on, because if we get cut off, as someone said to me, every road should have an alternate route. Unfortunately, the alternate routes when the Waitai came down were both blocked, Browns Road and Verrills Road, but they could be cleared quite easily. But every route should have an alternative route. That one hasn't. So we're really dependent on that. Is a major issue for our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. That's a very important meeting. That group is and it feeds into the Road Transport Committee, but that is a really good place to actually raise those. I had left the meeting early to pick up Dana Kirkpatrick to actually show her this. So she's very well aware of it. And it not only cuts off, it cuts Gisborne off. So I took the opportunity to highlight that to her to raise those concerns. So we just got to keep moving forward on that. Maybe we can do something by the next council meeting. Get a letter away.
Just through the chair, just to reply to Councillor Brooks's comments here, 100% agree with that bridge needing to be updated to suit that roundabout. Earlier this year, I went to Poiri at Roi Matamurai, Kutiriri, where the local hapu welcomed contractors from Waikato. And then one of the NZTA staff got up and he said the reason why he said that it wasn't in the budget to update that bridge, but the other main reason was they've said that there's a 20-year life expectancy left in that bridge. Even though there's a 20-year life expectancy left in the bridge, totally agree with you. We should be pushing to try and get that bridge upgraded, widened, because it's a big hassle if we are cut off like we were last week. So yeah.
Through the chair, yeah, thanks, Councillor Brooks, for raising that. I would also advocate for just noting that you're going to escalate this. I would also advocate for the next phase of the project, which is going to be the teardrop arrangement and ensuring that value add is also considered in that project, because there is a cycleway and we have been trying to advocate for improved cycleway to be included in the design and construction of that project. So I would advocate that maybe that could be also included as a key improvement to those types.
It has been. So what's happened there, that was raised as well, and they've come back with various designs. Fortunately, Jim Robinson has had a lot of input there, and they've actually listened, and it's actually they've got the model. The last model we saw on last Friday was actually okay. But that's going to be going ahead. Of course, it's a choke point, but I mean, it's not as bad as Kutiriri. I mean, I've never known the Waitai Bridge to flood, although the paddocks were, but that was still passable. And the teardrop stuff and everything else, that's all underway, and I think they've got a reasonably good model that they put forward.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on. So I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Thanks. Carried. Thank you. Good discussion there. I'll move on to page 53. Proposed 24 and 25 projects carry forwards. And I'll hand it over to Billy, Finance Manager. I'll move this if I have a seconder, please.
Kia ora koutou. This is the proposed list of carry forward of capital and specific operational projects that have been budgeted for in the year one of the LTP, which was adopted 30th October last year. And as alluded to in the report, largely due to the late adoption, a number of projects were not unable to be either started or spent, and that's what this report is requesting, that these projects be continued into the year two, the 25-26 financial year, that aren't budgeted in the 25-26 financial year. So, yeah, any questions? Comments?
I'll start the ball rolling. And as from your report, it basically says that this is not normal for this to occur.
For the operational projects.
Yeah. So one of the questions I've got is the seal extensions. That was raised by in another meeting by a councillor, and I didn't really sort of get a reasonable answer on that. That's rated for each year, seal extension, 200,000. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To my knowledge, we haven't used that in the last 3 years, and I suspect it hasn't been used for a number of years after that, or I don't know. But basically, for the last that's rated for each year, isn't it?
Have you got the page number?
Yeah, it's 57, and it's non-subsidised roading. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we haven't used that budget, to my knowledge, for the last 4 years, and that equates to roughly 4% of the rates that we could have actually taken off this year for the last 3 years, because we haven't used it. And if we haven't used it this time, have we used it previously? How many times? Because it's still rated for each year.
So these are capital projects. They're not normally funded directly by rates. They're usually by either if it's an extension, it could be a combination of loan renewals, and also if there was subsidy, there'd be some subsidy against it as well. But yeah, I think I can't really talk in terms of speak to the service delivery side of things, but I think where there are other abnormal, like weather events, for instance, there's some of the projects are dependent or could be delayed due to other events that take priority during the year. Weather events, as an example. Some of the funding could be maybe having to be used towards getting the repairs or the maintenance performed on those works that are needed to be repaired.
Thanks. Just through the chair, actually, just on that point, picking up from Billy last year, the allocation was utilised as an offset to flood recovery. That was a decision that was made by council to redirect those funds to be utilised for that exact purpose. Yeah, and that was following one of the weather events. I think it was the September event last year.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that we have a budget for that though as well, and if that's not sufficient, then obviously, but this is not loan. This is a non-subsidised roading. So, you know, the last 3 years we've had effectively, you're saying one now, so that comes down to 400,000 for the last 3 years. So that's still 2 point something, 2.5 maybe of rates. I mean, it just seems to me that this whole thing needs to be looked at. It seems I don't like the idea it's going into slush funds or going somewhere and then using for something else. Well, you know, just it seems to me that we could actually really affect our rates by not doing some of these activities.
Usually by year two, we take a much more closer look at what has been proposed, because by then we're a bit more, you know, and we've had the benefit of a whole year rather than only a partial year. This was a partial year. It's 24-25, sorry, in terms of the adoption date. A lot of works were kind of held up pending the adoption approval by council. So I think due to that particularly, yeah, I think year two would be a better year to actually assess what has been performed, what hasn't been performed, and looking at that also in relation to the report that went through to the performance and delivery in regards to the 3-year timeframe to have these projects undertaken. Just keeping those factors in mind too. But yeah, definitely more of a mixed one for us in year 2.
Yeah, and just further to that through the chair. So the capital projects, as Billy has pointed out, are predominantly loan funded or grant funded or a subsidy from NZTA for roads in particular. So there's not a relationship in terms of if we've spent approximately $150,000 to a 1% rate rise. Because it's capital or loan funded, it's spread over an extended period of time. So the rate impact is a lot smaller than if it was operational funding. And also if the project isn't delivered in year 1 and not carried over to year 2 like we're proposing, then that won't be funded by a loan. We won't be drawing down the loan fund to fund that particular project. Therefore, in year 2, there will actually be less impact on the rate because we wouldn't have had to start paying back that loan allocation for that particular project. Ultimately, we want to deliver the program as we've set out to deliver in the LTP or the annual plan, because that's a commitment to the community and that you've approved to deliver the projects. We are looking at that 3-year window as we've been reporting to the Performance and Delivery Committee, and trying to provide more transparency or more information about each project and how we're planning to deliver that over that 3-year period. And hopefully that brings confidence that these projects are projects that we've got a commitment to and we want to deliver. They're not like buckets of slush fund that we're playing around with. We want to have visibility and give you confidence, and community confidence that we are delivering a capital project that has been supported by ourselves in the community. The challenge that we've got this particular year is that we adopted the LTP in October, late October, meaning we were pretty much behind the 8 ball in year 1 to deliver the capital program. And unfortunately, that's resulted in quite a large carryover in year 1.
I get that. I get that, but this is 200,000 for someone who wants to start still their road, and council put in a proportion of that, but they pay the majority. But we haven't used that funding except there, so that really worries me.
So this money hasn't been collected. This is capital, so it hasn't been drawn down on. So it has not money that's been collected. Is that? So it's not money that we've actually collected and so it's sitting there. It's capital. That's something we'd have to borrow the money for to do it. So
you're saying we haven't borrowed money?
No.
And through the chair, if you don't want that project carried over, you could, this is the opportunity to go, well, there's 200 allocated in this current year for that particular activity. If council decides, no, we don't want to carry that project forward, you're entitled to say, no, I don't want to carry that project forward.
Yes. Can I just say something? Like brought up at our CEO cup of tea the other day about the proposed rate rises for next year, that they'd be totally unacceptable in the climate that we're in at the moment. So this proposed projects, Billy, so it's $7.5 million worth of proposed projects there. So how big an impact are they going to have on our rates for next year if all those projects are accepted by the new council? So I've just picked up a few that maybe we've discussed. It's like the Wharf Cycleway. There's the big harbour access business case. It's $1 million. Harbour access road, and then we've got pavement rehabilitations and all those sort of things. That's $600,000. So if shit comes to shove, so to speak, how do we cut back on these nice to haves to save our rate payers a massive rate increase? So that's my concern.
First thing is all these lists on the Appendix A, being capital projects, that there's not a direct correlation to the rates increase. The rates increase would be more in relation to these projects to do with interest charges. So the amount of interest that we had budgeted for in the LTP would be way less than what we had budgeted for. So that's the implication. But in saying that, we'd also need to be quite clear on what that also means for our assets infrastructure, and in terms of keeping up with levels of service and our renewal schedules. That'd be something that would need to be definitely taken into account, and what the impact of that might mean. So yeah, that would be something that would need further conversations.
Yeah.
Appendix B is, that Appendix B are the operational projects which do have a direct relationship to rates, of which we are requesting 825,000 carry forward of those projects. But then again, those projects largely support those capital programs. Without them, there'd be, it would compromise the, as alluded to in the report, the ability to deliver on those capital projects. But mainly it's up to the council if they wanted to go through and look at specific projects. But I think those relevant activity managers should also be here, or should report on implications of that.
So we can further discuss these when we come about setting our budget for next year for what sort of rate increase we're looking at, because that proposed one's pretty ridiculous at the moment, isn't it?
So in terms of the annual planning for the 26-7 year, definitely you could take into account as a work in progress, I suppose, how is our delivery? What is our performance outcome in terms of where we're at with the program, the programs, and take that into account in considering between years 2 and 3, which is what the annual planning round would be. But yeah, that would be a conversation with those relevant GMs and team.
Yeah.
Through the chair. So most of these are capital funded. There are some that we're just saying that are rate funded.
Appendix B.
Appendix B. Okay. So problem as I see it, like these all projects have been passed through council. So then thing will be that we have to go back through them. Are there any of these projects that we can drop out? Do we have to go back and have a look at them and bring them back to council if there's a possibility of dropping some of them out? They will need to be there. And plus, is there the ability to achieve all these projects in year 2?
The performance and delivery, the report that went to the performance and delivery committee earlier, was a couple of months ago. That report from the group manager alluded to that 3-year window. So that would be, I suppose, the conversation in regards to that. And there's a moving kind of, performance monitoring of that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. The thing is, of course, that every plan or every annual plan or whatever has to be able to be flexible, to be changed to meet the current circumstances of affordability, and that's what I think we need to look at there. It's the affordability side of it. I mean, it's not you. Don't worry, I think you do a sterling job, but it's that affordability. I mean, when I look in for instance, in Appendix B, we've got spaces and places strategy implementation is $290,000. There's all these sorts of things in there. you know, where can we tighten?
Yeah, sorry, through the
Yeah.
chair. There are a number of projects like that one specifically, which is actually grant funded through the Better Off program.
Yeah.
So something that's missing here is clarification as to what is actually being funded by loans, what is funded by rates, etc. What is proposed is to be carried over to this financial year to deliver as a commitment that was already approved by council in year one of the LTP. So what we're saying is we want to deliver on that, and this is to be carried over to this current financial year to look at delivery. The discussion around the impact for next year, we are going to go through a robust process with the elected members to look at how can we bring the year 3 rate rise that's currently in the LTP down. That'll be a process that we'll go through together, a robust process, and that'll be an opportunity to look at any of these types of projects and opportunities in year 3 to say, okay, well, we need to tighten the belt and we can't do that, but we need to be able to present to you the information so you can make that informed decision about what happens if we don't do that. So
Brilliant.
that'll be a robust process that we will commit to, and the team have already started to unpack that project plan and to start looking at how we will deliver that to the newly elected members from October on.
And if, excuse me, if that's the case, and this current government who currently have said everything they've said they're going to do, they've done, and if they bring in a rate cap, then how's that going to affect everything? Because there's something's going to go, and so really we've got to sit down and actually say, well, hang on a minute. I've always said it. We need to do the basics well, and then worry about the other stuff later. This is where I think that that we're going to have to end up having a real hard look at the whole thing.
Yep, through the chair, my understanding at this stage is that the rate capping would be proposed to be on activities that are not considered core business. Core business would be up to council to continue to deliver as they see fit. Rates capping potentially will be just associated to activities that are legislatively not seen as core business. However, still a lot of information to come out, and we're obviously actively monitoring that, and we will continue to do that and provide information to elected members to get clarity on that. And whenever that comes into place, and when we have that clarity, we can build that into the process of review and moving forward.
Okay. Pretty heavy, but so some things have been clarified in the Performance and Delivery Committee. That is a place where this should be starting. And yes, the next council is going to have to look at stuff. So, and just with rate capping doesn't mean, if you look at the models that they're basing it on, doesn't mean that rates don't go up. That's completely not what happens over there. You have to look at the models that are there. So, you have to be.
Just one last thing. Can you clarify work at asset management? It's about $1 million, just under $1 million spent on it. So to speak, by about 200,000.
So through the chair, network and asset management covers a whole range of activities. It's an area that when we went through the LTP, we committed to putting more energy in, because if we have good asset management practices, good asset information, we can make more informed decisions about our infrastructure and when to come and renew things and when we don't have to renew things. So when we went through the LTP process, we discussed that with elected members to say this is an area we want to put more energy in because it'll have a longer term payoff to the community by ensuring we have good information, that we're not going and renewing infrastructure before it really needs to be, et cetera, and to be able to refine the future capital works program in line with what we should be and when we should be investing in the infrastructure. And that's why there's been a lot more energy.
So that's consultants and.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of vacancies in that space over the last period, but we've now, through being able to get recruitment into that place, so we'll be cutting down on the need to get external assistance and be driving that internally.
Thank you. I think Councillor Brooks was saying it's looking at what must-haves and it's not must-haves.
And connect with the 35% subsidy as well. So there's subsidy attached to that subsidised rating.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for asking those questions, Billy. Stace. No more questions? We'll put recommendations in there. You happy? Someone want to put forward what they want to? Someone will put forward an option? There's two options here. Oh, that's great. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, so we're going to approve it. Hence A and G. Yep, got to move in second day. Yep, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Vote. Against? Carried. Thank you, Billy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, be back. Moving on. Move on page 60, industrial lands assessment for Portuguese district. I'll move this like a seconder, please. And I'll hand it over to Anthony. It looks like Peter.
Morning, councillors. We were going to have Arslan, who's the project manager, presenting his report today. However, he's also presenting to the Hawke's Bay the Bay of Plenty Regional Council. At the moment, he was hoping to be able to come online, but I don't think we do have him. No. So Pete's going to be presenting this report and presentation on his behalf.
Morena tātou, e te koro matua tēnā koe. E ngā mana e ngā reo, e a korauranga tiro mai hui nei, tēnā koutou katoa. Yes, as Ant has said, my colleague is double booked at this time, so I'll try my best to take you through this presentation that we have in front of us. If we can go to the next slide, please. So this is just a bit of background about where the journey started and where we going hopefully will end up. So in December 23, council directed staff to assess the district's future industrial land needs. A report was done by MRC agency and they identified 9 potential sites. So then staff engaged with the owners of said sites and a feasibility study was prepared. And then we had a workshop with you all on March of this year. So the presentation update will update council on progress since March 2025 workshop and provide final recommendations. If we can go to the next slide, please. So council was presented with the findings of the MRC report. The feedback from the owners was given, engineering advice and BOPRC recent flood modelling implications were given as well. If we were to proceed, staff made a recommendation of 4 high potential sites with logical reasoning for excluding other sites. And then at that workshop, council asked that staff engage with the residential owners surrounding those proposed sites and then also explore the possibility of including the ITM site, which is on Waiweka Road in the industrial zoning. Next, please. Yes, you can, but if they're too complex, I'll pick them up in the minute.
I just wondered what was much positive feedback from the landowners.
Hi, there was.
Like,
Apart from this one here, this is Beard Road. So the front blue part is Ian Connor.
Yep.
And of course the back part is the Beards, who oppose any rezoning at this point in time until central government make up their minds what what path they're going to take in terms of RMA and all that sort of stuff, natural hazards. So, yeah.
It concerns me that you're excluding this. I mean, that's the Beards part is farmland. That blue part would be a natural connection to the marina, irrespective of the Hikatai, because you know my thoughts on that. I actually quite don't mind the plan changes, just don't like the pipe. But the that there seems to me quite. I don't think it's appropriate to exclude that, because that would be the logical place to put industrial. I know it's got to be built up and everything else, but I mean that's a developer's cost. But that seems to me a logical place to put an industrial site where it's closer to the marina. It's basically services that could be there out of the way, and it's just logical that that would be the best place to put an industrial. Yes, I mean, it's just, I mean, like, why would you go all the way through town and then go around the back and whatever, whereas you know, and put all that traffic through town, industrial traffic, whatever it happens to be, where you've got somewhere out there that's off the highway, bang, done. And all it would need really is, well, LTSA have got to put a roundabout or something in there, because that's going to be a problem. But that's something that needs to be included in the planning, surely.
To your point, councillor, no one's disagreeing with you.
Good.
I
like
that. So if you see at the bottom of the slide, it says future industrial growth potential exists in this area. But that'll depend on what council at the time decides whether we want to push on with that or not. We haven't excluded that ourselves.
We have in the report.
But yeah.
No, we haven't excluded, through the chair, we haven't excluded Beard Road. It's one of the ones that we're putting forward for further site assessments to determine the feasibility, particularly this water and natural hazard. So this is site one, which is one of the ones that we're recommending putting forward.
Good.
And yeah, all the reasons pretty much outlined on page 79, 80 of the report. Sorry, it's quite a length.
And just if you put the spatial plan beside this, it's showing most of the development is actually the next 10, 20, 30 years is looking at that western side of the bridge. So in my view, we really need something on that western side of the bridge.
We've got the Connors in agreement, are we? The Connor,
Yes.
Connor block is in
Yep.
agreement.
Yeah. Further questions?
Chairman, so
Cool.
talk each station is up here to work on that.
Next slide, please. So this shows Waiaweka Otara Road proposal. The blue sites. One moment. The blue sites are the original sites that were assessed previously. The green are currently zoned residential, and which includes the ITM site, and they are happy for the rezoning to happen. The red ones are opposed to any sort of rezoning. So mixed responses in that area. But the blue highlighted area totals 11.63. I'm assuming that's hectares. Add in the 2.39 of the green gives you a total of 14. So I think we weren't looking for that much initially, but we've got it right there. Next one, please. This is the Waiaweka site down opposite the mussel factory and Apanui Farms. So again, the blue is what we originally looked at, and then the green are happy for the rezoning to happen. The red are opposed, and the ones that aren't coloured, we haven't been able to make contact with them to get their views. Next, please. So this one here is just owned by Eastpac and leased to Apanui. So this, as we discussed before, will be rezoned so that Eastpac can make their extension later on. Next. What have we got here? Is it? Yeah, click space, please, sorry. So this is option one. We carry out site-specific assessments prior to initiating a plan change. So it'll go through all those points there. The pros of doing this. So the best sites will be identified with lower natural hazard risk and better stormwater management options. Site 1 and 2 are large enough to intake complex stormwater management infrastructure, and better control and land use can be planned. The only con, all sites subject to BOPRC 1% AEP flood impact, and site 1 is highly impacted. But as we've also discussed previously, we know what our local area can and cannot handle. So yes, take on BOPRC's recommendations, but we've still got to have some sort of local knowledge. Option 2, council approves sites for future industrial growth. Staff to progress plan change, staff carry out all other assessments. The cons of this one is we'll have to wait for national direction, especially when they want us to stop doing any work. So this is in relation to your earlier comment, Councillor Brooks, about government wanting us to stop any plan changes. So this is what comes in option 2. Next one. Yep. Option 3, status quo. We stay as we are when we don't do anything. So next. So this is the potential growth using site 1. I'm not going to go through it all. I'll take the report as being read. But I guess to your point again, Councillor Brooks, this is all the potential options for going with site 1, especially with the marina development. So, yeah. Next, please. So the recommendations are that the report be received and approve either option 1, option 2, or option 3. Next one. So next steps is to report back with findings to confirm best site for plan change and continue engagement with landowners and residential lot owners to inform them about the next steps. Thank you.
We can have a discussion about this. Questions. I've got some questions. On this one.
Thanks, Barry.
So currently we've got 14.8 currently zoned. Is that correct?
Sorry.
We've got 14.8 currently zoned. And then, so does it matter if and we're looking for another additional 3 to 5 hectares, or does it matter if we go over that?
Yeah, through the chair, I think to go over that will provide us with a lot more flexibility, and if there's multiple landowners involved, it reduces the monopoly on having the greatest quantity of industrial zones, so it provides more market competition for that land as well. I have been advised that I think Arsalan is online. Arsalan, can you hear us? Okay.
Sure, everyone. Yes, I can hear you.
Arslan, we've just been through the presentation and the report has been taken as read, and the councillors have just started us asking some questions, seeking some clarification around the findings and the recommendations. And now that you're here, you're probably the best person to be able to help us respond to those.
Yes, great. Happy to answer.
So any complex questions, please ask them now.
No, I mean, it's the information's here now. It's just what concerns me, of course, is that we've got to wait for the discussion on that.
Yeah, so Arslan, can you just clarify for us about option 1, please? So Councillor Brooks was a little bit concerned that we were going to exclude that from our assessment, but that's not the case, right? Site 1, sorry.
Yes, so we're not excluding site 1 for the reasons that there are future aspirations and there are potential future industrial growth opportunities that can be explored by connecting Hukataya and Marine Harbour and Waitohi drifts with the site 1. So for the reasons, and that is also explained in the report, and for those reasons we're considering not to exclude site 1 from the assessments that we have proposed in option 1.
And most of those reasons are set out in, on page 80 of the report, specifically to site 1.
Any other questions or discussions? Just one of the questions I've got, I mean, option 3, no plan change, but can that be also, like, this is put on hold? I am concerned about direction coming from government. We've got our spatial plan all sorted. We've got this work done, so nothing's wasted. There's nothing stopping any of these property owners actually forging ahead and doing this stuff. I have big concerns about people that are objecting, neighbours to, and given what happened to the neighbours out at the mussel factory late last year and early this year, they've got every right to object to. It's not only smells, it's noise pollution and everything. So I totally respect their right to object. When I see orchards that are actually planted, and when we're comparing dairyland that's a marginal farm compared to orchards that are in production, and some of the very good ones, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to take that land in preference to land that's just dairy land. It is a marginal dairy farm. No one objecting. I don't believe there's a problem to future-proof it and build further. Like no problem whatsoever having more. If you just pick a few and you've only got a few landowners, they could delay things. So there's that risk. The other thing that, you know, it's unfortunate Councillor Nelson's not here. The whole reason I'm on council is because we should have actually done this in the district plan change. This should have all been done. This shouldn't be now after we've got the mussel factory. So this is years late. It should have been done when all that was put through. Now we have to redo this work. So we shouldn't just limit it to what we think we need, because who knows what we need. And the focus is on our current, our current products that we produce. We could have value-added products, all sorts. So just in relation to the traffic, Councillor Brooks, that's a great site. Beards Road is great, but most of the trucks that travel through this town come from Gisborne. So industrial is, it doesn't matter whether it's that side, this side, but it certainly makes sense to have that one included. So it's not really a question, it's just my thoughts. To sort of don't restrict it. And is option 3 can you change that to this is a delay, just wait and see? Do we carry on? So yeah, I'm just asking the question. I'm not sure what to do on this one. So thoughts from everyone else would be really appreciated.
Yeah, I just had one piece of land I thought might be an option to look at, and that's where the handbar site is over across the river there. Well, there's a lot of area along that Snell's Beach side, as I think it's probably got potential for maybe rezoning. Whether the landowners are keen on it or not, I don't know, but there's especially the handbar site. That's a site that's probably worthy of rezoning. I don't know what it's rezoned as rural at the moment, is it?
Through the chair, my understanding is part of that is actually council potentially road reserve from memory, and also part of that is now Whakatohia's land, and they have aspirations for research facility there, and that's articulated in our Wharf and Harbour Master Plan showing that. Now, I'm not sure whether or not the current district plan would enable their vision to be enabled without a plan change. So therefore, their ambitions might already be able to be met through the current district plan. That's something for us to take on board and have a look at and work with them to see whether or not that specific site could be included in here, and if it needed to be, if it doesn't meet their future ambitions.
I'd just like to comment here. What a good presentation it is. It was first work that's been done here. I read the whole thing and I thought it was pretty impressive, the work as well that's been set up and handed to us to read.
Actually, through the chair, I'd like to congratulate the writer of this report too. A lot of information here for us. What would be the disadvantage for us to have a wait and see? Do we have to pick an option today?
Through the chair, I guess what we're proposing is a bit of a wait and see. We're looking at doing some of the technical assessment work now. We're not proposing to progress to a plan change yet, and by the time we have this work done, we should have much more solid information from the national direction. At the moment, the national direction is for a planned stop. The signals that have been coming are that they want to stop plan changes that would restrict or prohibit growth, whereas growth enabling plan changes are more likely to be excluded from the plan stop national direction. And we consider this as one of those. So we're not proposing to progress to a plan change at this stage. We're just proposing to do quite specific assessments with a view to a change to our district plan or whatever the plan is under the new legislation going forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I'm happy with that.
Yes, yeah. So option 2 would be to actually progress a plan change process, which would be impeded by the plan stop national direction. So it's not really logical to go down that process at this stage.
Yeah.
Whereas option 3 is pretty much down tools and do nothing until we get some, and then would come back to council.
Yeah,
so
I'd be comfortable with that. Thank you.
So just with option 1, how much more work needs to be done if we go with option 1, and pretty much is any idea on cost and who pays for this?
Arsalan, did you want to comment on that?
Yes, so for the cost for these two assessments on 4 sites, each site would cost around $20,000 to $30,000 for one assessment, and around $15,000 to $20,000 for the other assessment. So we're looking at something around $200,000, but that is the cost that has been provided to us with through informal conversation with the consultant organizations that are out there. And then again, these are, since they are not site specific, we haven't mentioned them the area, because these costs may rely on the amount of area that is going to be covered in the assessment. So that has not been shared with them. So there's considerable chance of these costs going down. The costs that I've shared are the maximum cost that can be for these assessments. And the time would be from around 6 months to 9 months, based on how early we can start with these assessments. And yeah, that would be all.
Got a question if there's no others. So with option 1, is it actually worth considering actually writing a proposal to the minister what we've got in front of us and what we're trying to achieve, and get a permission like we were all given a letter to say stop? Is it worth, and this is really, it just might be worth actually doing that just to see if he gives us the yes, this is what's getting on track looks like, and go ahead. Is it worth actually going down that track with him and be proactive rather than start this and then him going, oh, look at them carrying on? So it's a question for you, I think, Stace, and the team, and something to think for the councillors.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, I think that's probably a good move. I would advocate that we also include our vision with Hokitāea in that letter as well, just to make it clear about how we are working to enable the vision of the community, which is shown in the spatial plan, and these are activities that we're getting on with, and they align with the direction of government, meaning enabling growth, both economic and housing. So I think we could accommodate something like that for sure. The question, I guess, for Arslan and the team, in terms of option 1, regardless of the direction of the government, the work that would be undertaken, can you just provide feedback as to this work would be required even if the government changes the direction in terms of what's proposed in the RMA? So it's work that we would most likely need to do regardless of the direction of the new government, or is it potentially that we would need to do rework if we embarked on option 1, for example, and then we received the feedback from the government? Would we need to redo some of that work or not? It's a bit difficult maybe to answer that, but it would be good to understand the risk associated to that.
Yes, to the chair, these assessments would be required even if we go with option 3 for the while, and then later down the road, 1 year or 2 year, we start the process again. These assessments will be required, but will not be required and if the government scraps the regional policy statement and regional plan, which requires that we don't have development in areas which are vulnerable to natural hazards, and we have to manage or make sure that the stormwater does not disrupt any development. So if until unless those laws or those rules are scrapped, we have to do these assessments whenever we plan to move on with this work.
It's not often I agree with them here, but the thing about this is that I think a letter should be sent just to say, well, I think that Hokitāea should be out of it. I think it's just industrial, and it's probably more palatable for a government to look at rather than worrying about what it hooks up with. The only thing it needs to hook up is the industrial one, which is the marina, and then look at that site 1 and then the other sites as well, because I agree that we need to have that competition in there. That is a very sensible outcome for me. So I would suggest that if we look at this and say, yes, we look at a letter to the government saying, can we go ahead with option 1 as for the industrial needs and growth, etc. Keep it quite simple, and subject to that response from there, then we could say, yes, we'll go with option 1 then. So if we put a letter, say the reply comes back, say, yep, fine, option 1's a go. Does that make sense?
Just further to that, so the Baird's objection is partly around what we're talking about as well, so that might provide some clarity for them to the objection, so that could help all around.
Yeah.
Can we just clarify, Arsalan, what the Baird's objections are, please?
So their objections are partly that since they've got they know that the compliance mechanisms are not there to ensure that the existing industrial activities are being taken care of in terms of compliance. So like there's smell and there's traffic and there's noise from the existing area, which is south of the town. So they know about that, and so they are concerned that if they have a certain kind of the same activities happening in the neighboring area, they would be affected too by the noise and the smell and the traffic. So that was their main concern.
I don't know if anyone's ever been on a farm, but a cow shit stinks just as much as anything else.
Thank you for the questions. Any further questions? Or any more? Thanks for the report. If there's any other discussions we want to have, we'll. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for the report. We'll just take an option.
I'd like to move that we go with the plan subject to the specific industrial growth. So the government say, can we go ahead with this project? See the process.
Do you want that added to option 1? Yep, just a little.
Subject to that.
Then you move that. And I'll second it. Oh, sorry. So we're going to add that amendment. Basically, it's option 1 with the letter. The amendment is the letter for approval. Yep. Tom's. Well, they've found 14 million for the Peketahi Bridge, so you know this is a positive. They'll know that we need a bit of growth.
Last too long.
Just something to ponder. So what happens if we get a response back or no response back? What if, have we given thought? Bring it back to full council.
Yeah.
Yep. Done. Oh.
Have you finished the letter yet, Arsalan?
Sorry,
Have you finished the letter yet?
letter.
You've had 5 minutes.
No, actually, I was actually wondering to the chair and due respect to the councillors, I actually don't have the idea what letter we are talking about. So, what's the essence of this letter?
We'll talk later.
So we're going to put site-specific assessment prior to initiating plan change, subject to a letter to the Minister for his consideration, citing industrial growth. If a negative or non-response is received, this will come back to a full council for consideration. Okay?
Yep.
And it likely wouldn't be till the new council. Happy with that? Yep. So you had to move in a second. Can we get a smile and we'll vote on that? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You just put for substantive motions.
Thanks, Arsalan, for coming late.
Or we
Okay, okay.
need motion. We need to have it.
Vote on that.
Yeah.
So we are going to have to do a substantive motion. So that's all considered. And we'll keep the same, we use the same movers and seconds. Or we need a separate.
So we have the motion, which is moved by councillor Brooks and has passed. We now need another resolution to receive the report along with that new motion as one resolution.
Dean and I will. Dean and I. You. All those in favour? Thanks. Harry, thank you. Thanks for that. Right. Move on to page, I'm lost now, 115.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay. We'll move on to dangerous, affected and unsanitary buildings policy renewal. Hopefully it includes this building for the asbestos on the main street. I'll move this if I give him a seconder, please. Yeah. And I'll hand it over.
Morena all, thank you. So this morning we're seeking approval of the special consultative procedure for our dangerous and effective and sanitary building policy. And I hope you've all read the statement of proposal. So just taking some points from that statement. So the Building Act directs councils to adopt the policy. We do have a policy which was reviewed in 2006, 2011 and 2019. So this policy is now up for review. We did have a desk audit done by MB with some updates that we had to do to bring us in line with the Building Act. Hence why this is now being put forward. And we are required to do a special consultative procedure for that. So the proposal is council is proposing to amend the policy to reflect the updated terminology and be compliant with the requirements of the Act and consistent in the approach that council takes in addressing dangerous, affected and unsanitary buildings. The policy has been revised and to capture council's guiding principles in the approach to evaluating and assessing dangerous and unsanitary buildings, including those classified as heritage buildings. The draft policy attached shows the proposed changes by highlighting amended text and by striking through where the text has been removed. So this is a two-step procedure, so it will go out for consultation after this meeting. So the submissions, we will invite feedback once the submissions open on the 6th of August. So putting it forward to council to accept and adopt the consultative procedures. Easy.
I'll get used to it. All right, options on page 616. By the mover and seconder. See? Anyone want to? Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yep. Option one. Yep, so might as well vote on that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
Just, I was just got the consultation period comes back after the end of the training. When's that consultation period finish?
September 3rd, you wish.
So it wouldn't come back till it would come back to,
16th
Sorry.
of September for adoption.
but it would come back to the new council, wouldn't it?
I'm just gonna sit down, it's pretty easy.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I did have a question I forgot to ask you, so.
Yeah, this process will run similar to what we did for the Easter trading bylaw. Goes out for consultation, it comes back. We'll undertake a hearings and deliberation process, and then council will resolve to either adopt or to not. In terms of the dates, we're expecting the submission period to close on midday, the 3rd of September. And then we will reconvene a hearings and deliberation process and potentially an adoption process on the 16th of September.
Okay.
So before the
Okay.
elections.
All right. Thank you very much.
Cool.
And I'll move this to the second, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, just take the report as read, but it's a couple of highlights. On the 9th of June, we conducted a couple of local body election candidate events. I believe it's the first time we have offered this type of event previously, and we'll look to continue to do that. I think it's valuable for those who do attend. We didn't have huge turnout, unfortunately, but really pleasing to see, numerous candidates throwing their hat in the ring for the upcoming elections. So, yeah, just a shout out to the team that helped pull it all together as well. So that was a bit of a highlight over the period. Lots of engagement on numerous topics as usual. Never a dull moment in local government, and quite a range of activities going on, and happy to take any questions.
Just through the chair, it's not really a question, it's just a suggestion with the local body elections candidate events. It was pretty short notice. There's actually a lot of interest down there, as you'll tell with the number of nominations that are coming for the Coast Community Board, which is exciting for the coast.
Great.
So it's just something that just put those comments out there a lot earlier, because since then I've had a number of coffees and hooey with people that were before Friday wanting to consider. So it'll be nice to how you set this up, to have yourself and me remaining, or this person who's in this seat remaining neutral from it. So yeah, but thank you for doing that. It was well received, even though there was only 2 from the coast that turned up.
There's some good kōrero with the council. Thank you.
Through the chair, I just got a comment really. I think that's the smallest Lagoima list that I've seen in my time on council. That's got to be a good sign.
Yeah, through the chair. That's a shout out to the team. So we reviewed our process of how we were managing Lagoimas. Lagoimas come in waves at times. However, our reviewed process sets us up to be able to respond to Lagoimas more effectively, and hence it's showing as less and less still outstanding each time we deliver these reports. So ultimately, it's a shout out to the team for responding to them. We do have a legislative requirement to meet, and just to say thanks to the team for the work they do to get it done ultimately.
Thank you. Any other questions? Second report, going to move the second, I'll put that beside, but all those in favour? Yes, thank you very much. We move on to phase 156.
Your worship, have we had your mayoral report yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your question?
No, no. I just missed it.
I jumped.
I thought so.
We went back.
Yeah, okay,
I was just seeing if everyone was awake.
okay.
I'll move into resolution to exclude the public. If I can remove in a second, please. The other ones. Those in favour? All those in favour? Against? Thank you. Yep.